Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just going to be doing a simple everyday makeup look. I usually don't play with a lot of different colors. I am someone that stays pretty neutral, kind of bronzy look, so I figured that I can go ahead and do that today. I am keeping it very real with you. Usually when I am putting on my makeup, I usually have on a bonnet or something to keep my hair kind of pinned away from my face, just out the way. That way I don't have to worry about anything getting in it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the tutorial. So throughout the video, you will see me talking, but I did decide to make this as a voiceover instead, as it seemed to be a lot easier and I wouldn't take up too much time. I am using the original Fenty primer, which is in soft matte. I really do like this one just because it is a mattifying primer, but it's true to its name, saying that it's a soft matte. I like the fact that it doesn't make me really dry. The primer is also really good at sticking. I haven't had any issues with any slip or feeling like my foundation is coming off, so I really do like it a lot. Highly recommend. To start off my base, I will be using the NARS Tinted Moisturizer. I am in the shade Cuzco or 1.5. I enjoy using a tinted moisturizer during the day just because I don't like too much heavy foundation or feeling like anything is heavy. Tinted moisturizer is really good if you just want to kind of have an even complexion, which is why I like it. It's also very nice to wear throughout the day as this does have SPF in it. For under eye coverage, I am starting with the Bobbi Brown Corrector in the color Peach. I do have some darkness under my eyes, and I find that the corrector is very helpful. It definitely helps to even out my skin tone and cancel out that dark brown color. I know that another option would to maybe use yellow, just depending on your shade. Excuse me, not yellow, but orange. But I really do like the peach. I feel like the peach does well for me. This is a compact cream, so you don't need much. I'm mainly focusing on right where I need it. I don't really extend it all that much. I extended maybe a little bit past my eye just to blend it out and have even coverage, but I do mainly focus on the inner corners of my eyes. For additional coverage, I am using the NARS concealer in medium 2 or ginger. I mainly apply under my eyes and maybe a little bit to the forehead, top of the lip, and chin. Some of the excess I will put down my nose, but my main thing is to highlight, to brighten under the eye. So that's what you see me mainly doing. But everything else, especially the top of the forehead, is usually considered extra for me. So for contouring, I am using the Fenty stick. This is in the color Mocha. So for my face shape, I am a little flat on the sides of my face, but I do have high cheekbones. So to focus on that, I usually kind of curve my contour going upward, as you see me doing here. So I focus on my cheekbones. You'll see me add it around my forehead and also down my nose. So to blend out my contour, I am going back in with the brush that I used for my Tinted Moisturizer. I do like using this just because there is still product from my Tinted Moisturizer, so it tones down that contour color. It kind of helps blend out a little bit more. It's not so harsh. This helps with not having any harsh color along with any harsh lines around the face. Moving on to blush, I am going to be using the Bobbi Brown Pot Rouge in the color Pale Pink. I absolutely love this blush. I am a really big fan of using more of cream blushes because of the pigment, and as you'll see here, I'm just giving a demo as far as how much you really don't need to add a lot to your brush. And you can see there already, I'm just patting it in and how much color there is. So you really don't need to do a lot. I like to kind of do a pat and sweeping motion. I feel like that's the best application for this. And here I decided to just add a little bit more of the NARS concealer as it did start to set and lose a little bit of its pigment. So I'll just let that sit there. But as I go ahead and let it sit, I will start with priming my eyes. I am using this NARS eyeshadow primer, and it is a lighter color, which I do like because it will help with the pigment for my eyeshadow. And what you see me doing here is I don't apply very much. I'll just blink or look up, that way it gets all over the shadow. Excuse me, all over my eyelid. And I'm just using this flat brush to kind of do a pat sweeping motion as you've continued to see me do the other applications throughout the video. So I'm just doing that. And in the video I mentioned that I do like to go back and forth between my lids because I do believe that this dries very fast, so you do have to work a little bit quicker. Moving on to eyebrows, I am using a clear brow gel. I prefer to use clear just because my eyebrows are already pretty dark and they're thick, so I'm just going to let the actual product do the coloring for me. With the brow gel, I usually let that sit for about a minute, minute and a half, just to give it time to really set and harden. The product that I'm using to fill in my brows is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz in the color Ebony. Now, I am not into the huge kind of boxy Instagram brows. I do keep my brows pretty natural. I follow the natural shape that it's in. And with my brows in particular, they are pretty thick, but I focus mainly on the areas that may have sparse hairs or maybe no hair. And I like the brow wiz just because it gives me an opportunity to focus on those smaller areas that I'm paying attention to. That's usually more of the tail of my brows, or kind of towards the top where you see here where it's a little sparse, but that's all I do. I don't do a lot of work towards the front. And after finishing up my brows, I am just going back to go through that concealer again and to blend it out. To set my concealer, I'm going to be using the Fenty loose powder in the color Banana. Now, when I am applying the powder, I usually just use the residue at the top of the pot, and I'm using my beauty blender. I am using it dry to pat under my eye or pat anywhere that I'll be using it. I am not really a fan of baking. I just feel like it ends up being a lot of loose powder that could have just been really melted into your makeup. That's just my own personal opinion. I feel like this works a lot better for me. And I feel like there's less chance for me to have any flashbacks. So I use it under my eye. I'll use it around my chin, my nose, around my forehead, and a little bit down my nose, just everywhere where I ended up having my concealer. To set my contour earlier that we use with the stick, I will actually be using the Fenty bronzer, and I really do like this product to set. I usually like to start with creams and set with powders. That includes, for concealer, that includes any of my contouring blushes. So the shade that I'm using in the Fenty bronzer is Caramel Cutie, and I'm just using an angled brush to do that. As you can see, setting this with the powdered bronzer really helps. Just a trick, make sure that you go into your hairline, your temples. That way you're not missing any spaces, okay? To set my blush, I am using the MAC powder blush in Pinch Me. It is a very beautiful mauvey pink kind of color, but it is bright enough on my skin tone that I like. I think it was absolutely perfect to go over the Bobbi Brown cream. Now that we are done with our initial base application, we are moving along to eyes. And to start off, for the transition shade or the crease shade, I'm using MAC's Soft Brown when just using this fluffy brush, and I'm using a very light hand when I'm applying this. I'm using it in a circular motion and then sweeping back and forth to just kind of diffuse the color. I don't want it to be too bold. Next, I am taking this neutral eyeshadow, and I'm just using that on the lid. I'm not really sure the name of this one in particular. I do apologize. I did get these all separately and just customize my own palette, but it's just a very light neutral shade to just make the lid pop a little bit. just because I do have smaller lids and I feel like that helps out a lot. For mascara, I am using the Marc Jacobs Velvet Noir. This is probably my favorite mascara that I've ever used. It's so big, it's fluffy, and I have very thick curly lashes, and this helps out a lot. It's super duper black, and I like this a lot just based off the fact that I don't wear lash extensions or really any strips, so this is a helping hand for me. For highlighter, I am using the Fenty Beauty highlighter in the compact Mean Money and Hustler Baby. Since this is supposed to be a daytime look, I am using the toned down color, which is Mean Money. And I'm just simply applying this with a fan brush. I feel like the fan brush is a lot easier to handle and it gives more of a sheer finish. For lips, I am going to be using a pinky gloss. I am using NARS lip gloss in the shade Pulsion. This is a very neutral mauvey pink, and I think that it would look good on all skin tones. One thing I really do like about this gloss is that it is so pigmented and it's going to be true to color. So if you're like me, or if you are a woman of color, you know that sometimes we tend to have more brown lips or maybe like a brown outline. You don't have to worry about not being able to see the full color. Like, it covers up all of that. It covered up the brown that was on my lips. So I think that you will do just fine. So to set under my eyes and to just keep things matte with the powder, I'm actually going to be using the MAC Fix Plus Matte. I'm not going to be spraying this anywhere else. That's really the only place I want to keep it matte. So I'm just using a fan to cover up, you know, the bottom of my face as much as I can. That way I do go ahead and mattify that. I didn't really have an issue with this, like any type of issues with it with my highlighter. My highlighter pretty much still stayed intact, but if you feel like you want to add it back, then you are more than welcome. And here I am just looking so fabulous and just looking like a goddess and kind of looking like the lady in the church, right? You all know who I'm talking about. All right, everyone, so that concludes the video. I did take out my hair. My hair was in bantu knots. I just unraveled them. This is the end result. It is a side part. It's very big, very voluptuous, but I think it's nice, especially since, you know, we're kind of getting into summer. I know we're in quarantine and everything, but I figured I'd still present you all with with summertime vibes. But I hope you all did enjoy watching the tutorial. I hope that you like the look, everyday look. And this is pretty much what we're doing for the day. I will make sure to try to link all of the products that I use below, and most of these things you can get at like Sephora or you know, like a makeup counter at a department store, or depending on the brand, you can get it from Ulta. So thank you again so much for watching. I hope that you all are making it through quarantine, making it through this time, being able to, you know, put any anxiety to rest. Maybe you've been able to get into a new hobby or get back into an old one that you kind of lost in the midst of everything. But again, thank you so much. So much love and prayer to your way. And enjoy. Bye.